Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl as we continue looking at battlefield terrain for Warhammer The Old World based upon the rules in the main rulebook, and we're now on to part 2. So we've covered all the basics of terrain and we finished by talking about special features. Now we're going to get into what types of special features that are in the rulebook and how they work. So first up, you've got the Arcane Monolith. Now this is controlled by proximity. Special rules, so the controlling unit, and we talked about how units control in the last video, gain magic resistance 1. That's pretty nice just for being near the thing. If there's a controlling wizard, he may re-roll a single dice roll of 1 when making a casting roll. So having a wizard that's within 6 inches of this thing, pretty decent. Victory points. The player that controls the feature at the end of the battle gains 50 bonus victory points. And here you can see this is a Games Workshop piece of terrain. It's a Beastman Herdstone, which is available today to buy. Now, look, as we said in the previous video, Games Workshop terrain isn't the cheapest. You can't really say that about anything that Games Workshop does, that it's the cheapest. However, some of their terrain, like some of their models, looks particularly nice. And if you're not rolling on a budget, this Arcane Monolith, if you're rolling a Chaos or Beastman style faction, is actually a pretty nice piece of terrain and does represent something like an Arcane Monolith pretty well. So, you're into sort of shrines, like a Chaos Shrine could be an Arcane Monolith, Elven Waystones, all that sort of stuff. Something in this sort of shape tailored to your faction does make quite a nice Arcane Monolith. So there you go. Make it yourself or buy it from Games Workshop. There's lots of terrain available from third parties. But I do quite like this Herdstone, particularly if you're a Beastman player. Next up, Monument of Glory. Controlled by proximity. Special rules. An inspirational sight controlling unit may re-roll failed panic tests. In addition, all units in the same army re-roll failed rally tests. That's really cool. This is a really good thing to control because it gives you an army-wide benefit. Honor thy forebears. The controlling unit gains hatred all enemies, which means attacking a unit close to this thing, they're going to be pretty nasty, potentially. Certainly more nasty than they would be normally. And if you do control it, you do get 50 bonus victory points at the end of the battle. So this is the Ossiarch Bone Reapers piece. I certainly think Monument of Glory, you're looking at something that's very statuesque. I mean, there's lots of different things that Games Workshop does that could be used as a statue type of thing. Lots of third-party stuff out there as well that could be used. But here's, for me, a good example of something that could be a really nice one. I actually really do quite like this bit of terrain. So the terrain that I am showcasing on here is the stuff for Games Workshop I do quite like. As I said, it's not the cheapest, but there's some still quite nice stuff here, even in the stuff. I mean, there's nothing out there for Warhammer Fantasy Warhammer The Old World right now, but there is some Age of Sigmar terrain that does fit if you had that particular. This could be quite nice for your Tomb Kings or Vampire Count type player. It could even work for a Chaos. You could Chaosify it a little bit, and convert it. But actually, something like this could be quite nice for your Monument of Glory. Monument of Glory, quite a big impact. So do consider, if you are putting this on your battlefield, it's obviously going to be in the middle of the battlefield. You are going to fight over it, but the person controlling this is going to have some quite significant benefits there. So do take into account the impact of this one. Right, next up are Dark Ruins. The picture you can see here is the old Warhammer Fantasy Mausoleum. I really liked this bit of terrain because of the modularity of it. All these bits came individually and you kind of put it together how you wanted to put it together. You could even combine them to make an even bigger feature. So I actually really quite like it. It's a real shame it's gone away. I hope they bring it back. It looks great. If you can find any of this online as well, eBay or any third-party websites, it makes quite nice. You can use it for your Dark Ruins, but there's also some statues in there that if you wanted something a little bit smaller to represent your Monument of Glory, you've got that option in there as well. Right, so Dark Ruins, they are an impassable terrain building controlled by occupying unit that has a strength of 20 or less and has the troop type infantry or by a character model of any troop type. Special rules, Dark Aura. If the occupying unit causes fear or terror, enemy units must apply a -1 modifier to their leadership when testing against that fear or terror. If the occupying unit does not cause fear or terror, it becomes immune to it instead. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Defended position. When a unit occupying the Dark Ruins is charged, it counts all arcs as frontal arcs. Therefore, you can never do rear or flank charges against this and gain appropriate bonuses. And the unit is always considered to be behind a defended low linear obstacle. So charging a unit in combat while they're in a Dark Ruin is a significant prospect that you're going to want to make sure that you are a much tougher and much killier than the unit you're going after, because they're going to get these bonuses. Right, duck and cover. An occupying unit that flees will remain in the Dark Ruins, but it will have to rally as normal. Now, units that occupy Dark Ruins do not give ground or fall back in good order. They just hold their ground and the combat continues. However, if an occupying unit breaks and flees during combat, it will be immediately destroyed. So that is, again, something to consider if you're in there and you're in combat. If you break and flee, you're instantly destroyed. And here we've got some more ruins that were available from Games Workshop. So, special rules huddled together. If the Dark Ruins is hit by a template attack, every model in the occupying unit will risk being hit. So rather than just being if it's under the template or not, as long as the ruins is under the template, every model in the unit is risk of being hit. However, due to the protection that you've got from the walls, they will be hit on a d6 roll of 5+ instead of the normal 4+. So you can hit potentially hit more models, but you need to be rolling good to do so. Now, incoming. If a cannon hits the Dark Ruins, the occupying unit will suffer D3 Strength 4 hits, AP -1. So significantly reduced damage. So if you're the cannon player, I wouldn't suggest shooting a unit with the Dark Ruins, unless you've got no other viable targets. And the cannonball does not bounce, right? So there's no bouncing, there's no line to be drawn or anything like that. It hits the ruins, and you get the D3 Strength 4 hits, AP -1. That's significantly down on strength and AP from a normal cannon hit. The flip side to this is victory points is a special feature at the end of the battle. If you control it, you get 100 bonus victory points. And I have to say, we've still got one more special feature to go through that's in the main rulebook. I really like these special features. I think they give some nice benefits. I don't think anything's crazy overpowered. There's some benefits, there's some negatives. But the potential of the extra victory points is really, really nice. Okay, and finally, for our special features, we got the tower. Now, I own this particular tower. Again, I really like some of the old Warhammer Fantasy Games Workshop stuff. It was really flavorful. It wasn't crazy difficult to build. I mean, this tower comes in multiple sections. You can take the top off. You can take the third section and the second section off. You could just leave it as a ruined tower with just the base. And there's detailing on each of these levels as well. Really nice feature. Sizable and imposing on the board, but without taking too much space on its footprint. So the actual diameter of this is not crazy big, right? It's not crazy big. So really hope some of this stuff comes back. It was really good. Impassable terrain building. It's controlled by an occupying unit that has a strength of 10 or less. So no big units are going to be in the tower. And it has a troop type infantry. So you have to be less than the strength of 10 and have the troop type infantry. Or you can have a character model go in there, but it must also have the troop type infantry keyword. So unlike the Dark Ruins, where the character could have any troop type keyword, in the tower it has to be infantry. Right, special rules, eerie. So occupying unit can only be charged with by enemies that have the troop type infantry or that have the special rule fly keyword. Enemy units that charge they charge the feature itself rather than the unit. So you charge the edge, the footprint of the tower, not the unit inside. And both units are considered to be in skirmish formation during the combat. Right, so if you're thinking you're going to be getting rank bonuses or anything like that, or you've built a unit based upon that, it's not going to work. Though if you've got a unit strength of 10 or less, you're not going to have much from that anyway. So actually a skirmishing unit could be, if you're going to put any unit in here that's not a character, a skirmishing unit already would be quite nice. Skirmishing unit of archers or something like that could be quite nice in this type of building. And like I say, you know, the unit that's going to be attacking you is going to be considered to be in skirmish as well, so you're not going to have any negatives there. However, only 5 models are going to be in the fighting rank for both. So that's also a good thing. So given that you're going to have essentially a weak unit strength in here, and you've only got a 5 model fighting rank, that's not going to be too much of a problem for you, right? You've got a weak unit in there, probably not many models, but you're not getting attacked by many either. So, you know, either a skirmishing unit in here or a strong character could be quite interesting in here. Panoramic views. The occupying unit can see across the whole battlefield. Wow, so if you've got a unit in here that can shoot, that's got pretty good range, you're not going to be obstructed by anything. An occupying unit can see or be seen across or through other models. So yes, you can see across the battlefield. Yes, you can shoot over lots of units and pretty much pick your target within range, but you can also be shot back. Duck and cover, so just like the Dark Ruins, the occupying unit that flees will remain in the tower or the Dark Ruins. It's exactly the same rule, but will have to rally as normal. Units occupying do not give ground or fall back in good order when they're in the tower, and occupying units that break and flee in the tower are immediately destroyed. So, if they're huddled together, so you got all the same rules that you had for the Dark Ruins, which is a template attack is the same. You get hit on a roll of 5+ instead of 4+. Incoming, same rules for Dark Ruins as for the tower if you're being shot at by a cannon. So if you're a cannon player, don't shoot the tower unless there's nothing else to shoot. And victory, or if you're, so the one time you might want to shoot the cannon deliberately at the tower is if you're coming to the end of the game and there's only 1 or 2 models in the unit left, because you could deny your enemy the last point, which is victory points, which is gaining that bonus 100 victory points at the end of the game. And here you can see the classic Warhammer Fantasy terrain piece of Skull Vein Manse. Again, looked particularly cool, impactful on the table without taking up such a huge footprint. So really quite nice. But yeah, so there you go. That brings us to the end of the special features. As I said earlier, there's nothing in here which is completely broken or overpowered for the person that controls it, but there's enough benefit in there that you go, maybe I would want to control this. So because it's not so powerful, you're not going to direct your entire army just to take this one feature. But there's enough impetus in there for you to go, I want to send a unit or 2 to take the feature. 100 bonus victory points isn't always going to win you the game, but it could in certain situations. So, like I say, if you're playing, a game, I actually really like the way these special features have been done. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think. But I think they have been done in a really good way. They're in the middle of the battlefield. Most of the time, they're going to give people line of sight issues, which is good. So you're going to have to play around them. I like to say I like the fact that the rules are not overpowered, but they're good enough, and you get the victory points for it, is enough to send some units, but not make it the sole purpose of the battle. Because if you made it too strong, or there was too many victory points here, you'd end up just having every battle would be the same. Both opponents' armies would just fight over this one terrain feature, right? And the way it's been done, it's not going to win you the battle, but it could give you some interesting points where in edge cases or very close battles, it could swing it either way. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job with this. Really good job. Let me know what you guys think below. And let me know what you think about the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. But let me know in the comments down below if you gave it a thumbs down. And we can improve the content. I'm still on my headset and microphone. I should be moving into my new place soon. And hopefully we'll be having all my stuff from the UK arrive, where we can get back to much better quality sound overall, and just a better quality presentation of the videos. If you want to see more though, please hit that subscribe button. Free for you to do. Takes a few seconds to click that button, but it's a massively, massively important deal for me. So thank you for that in advance, and thank you to those that have already hit that button. You've been watching The Ghost Owl. We're coming to the end of the main rulebook. A few bits to go, where we're going to be getting on to some of the ways of playing the game, how selecting the armies, and then we're going to be on to the magic laws of magic, and also magical items still to come. And then we'll be on to the faction focuses. And I know from some of the feedback I've already had, there's a lot of you out there waiting for those faction focuses. And they will be deep dives. We'll be spending quite a bit of time on each faction, the units, how they work, and everything else. So keep an eye out for those coming in the future. You've been watching The Ghost Owl, and I'll see you all very, very soon.